I'm very happy to see you all today in the third episode of a Saturday Talk series by experts titled How to Avail Education Loan with our expert Sri K. Srinivasan, convener of Education Loan Task Force ELTF. This program is presented by NGPL, New Gen Political Leaders, an NGO to nurture young political minds in our country, and we have Presence, a national monthly e-zine since 2006 as our knowledge partner. I am your host Sukruti Narayanan from Australia, and I'm sure you will find your show fun, interesting, and informative. Before we enter into our discussion, I would like to introduce our expert Sri K. Srinivasan, who, as the convener of ELTF, has helped thousands of students for their education loan. ELTF was started in 2010 to take up cases for highly deserving poor students. So in February 2010, alone this task force has helped over 5 genuine cases with different banks, and also the problems were resolved within 2 days. ELTF has had special mentions made in Rajya Sabha from March 15, 2010 onwards. So this program is going live in all portals, and I request the audience to share your questions for the 15-minute interactive question answer sessions. So thank you so much for being part of this show despite your busy schedule, sir. Because I see even this morning you had a program with Times of India on education loan, and you're doing a lot to help students with this. Welcome to our show, sir. So education loan has become the need of the hour, especially during the COVID times. So let me start with the questions to help students get clarity on this subject. So my first question to you, sir, who can avail education loan, and is there any eligibility criteria for the students to apply for the loan?
Any Indian citizen can apply for educational loan. There is no age limit. Upper age limit is not there, and anybody who gets the admission in any college which has been rated by NAC or NBA, or the institutions like central funded institutions like IIT, IIMs, they can apply. The institutions, they should be recognized. If it is a medical college, and there should have been a medical council. Nursing colleges should have been recognized by the nursing council, or the law colleges should have been recognized by the bar council. Unless the college or the institution is not recognized, they are not eligible for educational loan and interest subsidy. There are schemes like Indian Banks Association. There is known as IBA scheme. IBA has Indian Banks Association is the apex body for all the banks, commercial banks in India. They have designed a scheme, model scheme, which is being implemented mostly by the public sector banks. Only Indian citizens can apply, and +2, they should have passed +2, 12th standard, then got admission in any of the approved institutions. Then they can go in for educational.
So is there any course restriction for the loan eligibility, sir?
There is that part-time courses are not eligible, or sometimes the people join for some sort of certificate courses. They are not eligible. They must join regular courses, and even a graduation, arts, science, engineering, medical, nursing, and even PhDs, MPhil, post-graduation. And that IBA scheme can be downloaded from IBA website or from our educational loan task force website, which we will show it in the last. And that scheme is a lot of courses are available, and by accepting that distance education is not available, and part-time courses are not available for, they are not available for education.
Okay, so having said that, so how to apply for educational loans, sir?
And earlier, before 2015, any student who wants to apply for educational loan, he has to go to the bank, any bank of his choice, and get an application form, and the application form has to be submitted to the concerned bank. Suppose if he is going for a 2 banks or 3 banks, he has to go around the entire bank. Now in from 2015, August 15th onwards, they have started, the government of India has started a website portal known as Vidya Lakshmi portal. vidyalakshmi.co.in. We will show the a link also at the end. Vidya Lakshmi portal. That Vidya Lakshmi portal is a comprehensive portal where all the public sector banks are members of that, and they can student can log in there, register their names after +2, after getting into admission, and they can apply for educational loan for 3 banks, and any A bank, B bank, C bank, there are a lot of choices are there. They can go and apply. Even there are in that scheme, in that portal itself, there are what are the scholarships available also is available there. They can look at that. But I am talking more about the educational loan. They can apply for educational loan for 3 banks. Then the banks have to sanction or reject within 15 days to 30 days. That's the norms there.
Okay, so is there any quota system for loan processing, sir?
Quota means, what do you mean by quota?
So quota, like any reservations, like, there is like certain percentage of, loan would be approved for, any particular category. So like for girl
No,
children.
there is no such quota system as far as the educational loan is concerned. Probably SCs and STs will be given priority, and the women applicants will be given a priority. That's all. There is no such quota system. Only on the priority basis that they can be considered by the concerned financing banks. These are all the general norms. Each bank can have their own norms also. And I forgot to tell one thing. There are certain. Okay, fine. You carry on.
Okay. So, we saw about like after +2, yes, for various courses we have, bank loans available. So my question would be now for the postgraduate students. So how different will the loan process be for postgraduate education, and do banks support and aid these students for higher education?
It's a very fantastic question. The postgraduate level, and after the graduation, the students can opt for higher education, post-graduation or MPhil or PhD based on their talents. At the post-graduation level, the banks look for more for academic excellence and for employability. And if already a person has got a loan for graduation, educational loan, and he can, the moment when he completes the graduation or just before the completion, he can approach his own bank manager and seek his guidance on how to apply for a post-graduation loan. Many times what has happened, and there is a moratorium for repayment. There is a moratorium. If a person has got a 4 years engineering, 1 year moratorium is there, 5 years. Some of the students, many of the students, what happened, they are waiting for the moratorium and they wait for 2 years and for employment. They don't get, then they go and join the post-graduation. At that time, and they approach the bank, by the time they commit a default in the bank, then the bank might have taken an action on them, legal action. So that is not to be done. Because if you want to go for a post-graduation, better you go for a post-graduation, decide on that the moment when you complete your graduation and consult your branch manager. Otherwise, when your loan account is in order, if you are repaying well, at the time after 1 year, if you want to go for higher education, then you consult your bank manager. Then they can combine the post-graduation loan also together along with the undergraduate loan, and then they can form a EM. They can give a fresh EM.
Okay, so this is a scenario in ideal situations where students get good marks and things are really smooth. So in conditions where when student doesn't get a merit quota and they go through management quota. So in that case, they might have to join a private institution, and there might be some, capitation fee and other things involved. So is there any aid from the bank for students who, go to institutions through management quota?
There is a there is a there is a earlier 3 years or 4 years back, management quota was not considered by the banks, and it was purely based on the merit. Even now, it is based on the merit-based admission only, not ad hoc admission. Even now for eligibility, but sometime the government IBS scheme has given a clarification and some relaxation. As you said, that if a student has got a meritorious background and he joins any institution, approved institution, under a management quota, the bank can consider on the merit basis under IBS scheme. Even then, he is also eligible for interest subsidy, and he can apply for that. And there is, every bank has got its own formula for management quota. Then the students who are seeking admission through management quota, before applying for a particular bank, better you go and check up with those bank managers what is their rules. Each bank has got its own IBA scheme, does not provide a standard formula for that, accepting that banks can consider management quota on merit basis. That is the one thing that they have included. What is a merit, what is the norms, that all individual banks can decide. So the banks, it is better the applicants go and meet the manager or the senior officials of the bank and then consult them before making an application.
Okay, so now like we've discussed a fair bit about how, the loan application. So my next question will go on to the processing, sir. So how long does it take for the loan to be processed by the bank?
Normally, when a student applies under Vidyalakshmi portal, it should take 15 days to 30 days, maximum 30 days. The bank should process. Here they are applying to 3 banks. The bank should process and then communicate to the applicant what is the stand, whether they are able to sanction or reject. Normally, it doesn't happen. Because it goes to the 3 banks. There are certain small problems there which we have also taken up with the government, and sometimes there are delays are there. Then it is better the students approach the concerned banks and discuss with them politely about the status of those banks, why it is getting delayed and all. Then suppose if there is a chronic delay, they can even make a complaint to the regional manager, and still if they are not able to get a proper response, they can even complain to Prime Minister's office, pgportal.go.in. Normally when students make a complaint to the PG portal, which we have seen in reality, it takes around 30 to 40 days. Some responses are coming.
Okay, so now like we saw about the processing, my next question would be, is there any security involved for the loans when we apply, sir?
Earlier, up to 4 lakhs, there was no security. Only parents have to sign, and the third-party guarantee also was not needed. Now, the government has introduced a credit guarantee scheme for the educational loan. They have now up to 7.5 lakh rupees. There is no guarantee, third-party guarantee or collateral security is needed. You have to be please listen, up to 7.5 lakh. There is no third-party guarantee or collateral security is needed. Only parents have to sign the bank documents. Earlier it was 4 lakhs, now it is 7.5 lakhs. And what has happened, if by mistake, if a bank manager gets an over enthusiasm, gets the signature of any collateral security or additional guarantees, then the student becomes ineligible for interest subsidy. The mistake committed by the bank manager will cost interest subsidy to the students. So the student should be very careful whenever the documentation is being done. If it is up to 7.5 lakhs, there should not be, I repeat the word, there should not be any guarantee or collateral security. Only the parents have to sign. These students have to ensure. Suppose if the branch managers are not aware of the rules, the students can tell the branch managers that it is not, it is in violation of IBA guidelines and interest subsidy guidelines, and request the bank managers to verify with their head office. Still, if the managers are adamant, you can complain to PG portal or you can complain to educational loan task force also. We will also take it, because any violation that may cost interest subsidy for the students.
Okay, so up to 7.5 lakhs, there need not be
Up to
any
7.5
third party.
should need not know, should not.
Should
I
not.
should not. They should not give any. If they want, if they are eligible for interest subsidy, which we will talk later, if they are, they should not give third-party guarantee or collateral security. Otherwise, it will be affecting their interest subsidy. Beyond 7.5 lakhs, there should be, the bank may demand collateral security or third-party guarantee. The domestic loans up to 10 lakhs is allowed. For foreign loans, it is up to 20 lakhs is allowed. But for interest subsidy, only up to 7.5 lakhs only they will be taking it. Only loans up to 7.5 lakhs only are eligible for interest.
Thanks a lot for clarifying one more time, sir. So now my question would be, like, yes, we saw about the loan processes. So now, what should a student do after availing the loan from the bank? What would be the next steps?
After availing the loan, the student should first ensure that he must first read the bank rules. That is very, very important. Many times when they apply and they get a loan, they feel that their job is over. It is not their job only starts from there. The moment when they get a loan documentation as per rules, then they should know about the bank rules. They should also discuss with the bank manager what is the EMI that they would be, what is the repayment classes, holiday period, that is a moratorium period, how much, everything they must get. And they should also discuss with the manager or officials there how the bank will be is going to disburse the installment. Suppose if a boy gets a 4 lakhs of loan and for 4 years engineering, 1 lakh per year, that too, suppose 50,000 rupees per semester. Each semester, the bank will make the payment to the bank, the college concerned. So they have to ensure the bank rules, how they are doing it. And one thing is, while while applying also, they must know what are the items eligible for their loans. Because once when they want to make an application, their fees is eligible. And even if they are books or projects and they are eligible for inclusion in the loan, and even if the students want to buy computers, the computers also is eligible. Laptop, if they want to buy, that is also eligible for a loan. Only donations are not allowed. Suppose a student doesn't get a hostel, a student, he or she wants to stay outside and then attend the courses, then also a reasonable amount can be included as per the scheme. That also can be part of the loan application. That's all. The student should know about the rules while applying itself and even after the loan sanction. Then how the loan is going to be disbursed by the banks also, the student should know about the rules. Then only they will be able to enjoy. Then after availing the loan, every semester, they should also show their improvement to the branch manager. You please give it to them in writing that you have availed so much of mark and score. The bank also will be happy and they will also be quite comfortable with you in handling a loan account. The moment it is an investment, because you are lucky to get a bank loan. Not only that, you make use of it for a future, so that whenever you need any additional, this is only a beginning of your relationship with the bank, any public sector bank. The banking industry is such a big vast. They can give you any amount of loan. Suppose you want to buy a house at a later time, you want to buy a car, or you want to start an industry. Even after the loan is after your study, you can go for a repayment. Before the repayment, you want to start even a startup. You want to go for a project. That also bank can give a finance, and they can rework out your EMI. They can give a the moratorium period can be reworked out. So many facilities are available. So what we would suggest is better you maintain a good relationship with the bank manager, bank official. Bank managers and officials will be always transferred. You may not be able to see next year when you go there, you will not find the same manager or officer there. But the institution remains there, but your records are there. So the records will speak for itself. Even the new manager comes or new officials come, they go through the records in the computer, and they once when they go through that, then they find you a better customer. They instead of yourself running after the bank, they will run after you for getting for availing more facilities from the bank. So that is a very important during the currency of the loan. It is a very important. Then
And so you were mentioning about the different loan items, like for example, project or the hostel. A part of accommodation would be covered. So will this be different from bank to banks, or is there a standard set of norms available for this?
The IBA model scheme is applicable to all the public sector banks. Private sector banks may not be much, they may not be very comfortable with social lending. And though they talk very high of themselves with a huge publicity and other thing, the real work is being done by public sector banks. They only go to the grassroots level and then they try to help them. And more or less the scheme is same. But here and there may be some small differences depending on the banks. But more or less the scheme is different, excepting the rate of interest also, BPLR rate also, it may be different, slightly it may be different. But the scheme is only a IBA model scheme. All the banks follow the IBA model scheme, public sector banks.
Okay. And last week, sir, like we saw that over 1 crore students pass out of plus two, and there are a lot of opportunities available. So on that terms, I would like to ask a question about what if a bank loan is rejected? So what would be the reasons why a bank loan will be rejected, sir?
Probably the bank loan, when they make an application in the through the Vidya Lakshmi portal, they might not have properly filled up all the forms. They might not have given the details, or they might not have joined the colleges or institutions which are not accredited. As I said, the institution from 2001 for 2018 onwards, the institution should have been accredited. There are different type of accreditation. NAC accreditation is there, NBA accreditation is there, and then there are institutions like IIT, IIMs, Indian Institute of Science. They are all the centrally funded institutions are there. They can be, students are eligible for that. The medical colleges have to be approved by Medical Council of India. The nursing colleges should have been approved by Nursing Council of India. And the law colleges should have been approved by Bar Council of India. Today, you find a lot of institutions, they run a law colleges, but they may not have an approval from the Bar Council of India. When the students join, then they may not be recognized by the Bar Council or Nursing Council or the concerned professional bodies. So the students, before going for admission, they should be careful whether that institution or the college is an accredited one. How to get an accreditation, whether it is eligible, then you go to the site and see whether they are accredited. Otherwise, you check with the college whether they have an accreditation. Otherwise, don't join those banks, don't join those institutions, then that will create a problem. You can join, but when you go for a bank loan, then the bank may reject. So the interest subsidy may not be available. So the student should be more careful about these.
Okay. And now, once the loan is approved, so we will, most cases, yes, when the loans are approved, so how will the bank disburse the funds, sir?
As I said earlier, if a loan, if a 4 lakh loan is given, and if 1 lakh per annum, and 50,000 for an engineering course, 50,000 per semester, every semester the bank will remit the money to the colleges. and it will not be given to the students, or sometime annually also they will remit it, and it will be remitted only to the college concerned. Normally it will not be handed over to the student. Sometime exemptions are made. Suppose first year the students, there may be some delay in the processing of loan. Invariably it happens in many cases. They get an admission card, and by the time the bank may demand documents, and they may require admission or the invoices from the college. College may not give an invoice. They will say you pay the first term fee. These type of things, you can take a permission from the bank concerned, and then you can pay the first term fee from out of your own funds or your own borrowed funds. You request the bank to reimburse it. In such cases, when you do it with the permission of the bank will reimburse the money that you have already remitted, provided you give them the receipt and other details to the bank concerned, prove them that you have already paid. That is normally the banks are flexible about that. This is a very important.
And so as you mentioned, like, the bank gives a certain amount of time to repay the loan. So what will be the interest rates? Will that vary from bank to bank, or is there a fixed interest rate?
No, that is a bank. It may vary from bank to bank, because it all linked to the BPLR, and each bank may have some rate of interest. Sometime for women also they give some concession. Even the scheme itself provides some concession. 0.5 to 1% concession is being given, and if interest is being serviced properly, even 1% concession also is given. Each bank will have its own norms. Better the students go through the IBA norms from the IBA side, then check with the concerned bank for their own internally what are the other benefits or anything that they get it from those concerned.
Okay. And so you pointed about the interest subsidy a couple of times. So what does that mean, sir? Can you share more details about what that term is?
Interest subsidy is one of the fantastic scheme introduced in 2009 by the government of India. That means a student who avails an educational loan from any bank, his interest portion during the study period plus 1 year moratorium is being reimbursed by the government. Suppose an engineer, there are 4 conditions. One is it should be an Indian study. I will talk about that foreign scholarship or foreign interest subsidy is there, that I will talk later. I am talking about commonly for others. Mostly it is used for our common people for the Indian study. It should be in the Indian colleges, Indian study only. Number 2 is it should be professional and technical courses in accredited colleges. Accredited, again, I have been repeatedly telling that the colleges should have been accredited. NBA accreditation, NAC accreditation, or IIT, IIM, IISc, or Medical Council, or Nursing Council, or Bar Council, whichever they are applicable, we should have been accredited by those institutions, that professional and technical courses. Professional course means MBA is the professional course. Technical courses is BE, ME. These are all the technical courses. The student should have been there. And family annual income should be less than 4.5 lakhs, 4.50 lakhs. And they should, at the time of application itself, they should get a certificate from the Tahsildar rank, or each state has got its own competent authority. They must check with the concerned bank who is the competent authority. It's the government authority. Sometimes people used to ask me, sir, can I give a salary certificate? No, it is not allowed. Only the competent authority, like the government officials, state government officials are the competent authority. And it is the MHRD scheme. Now it is known as Ministry of Education. And they notify which each state government, they have given the powers to the state government to notify the competent authority. And mostly the Tahsildars, they are the competent authorities. The Tahsildars, they may have to issue the certificate, and the students from any state, they may have to go and check with their concerned bank manager who is the competent authority, and get this certificate and keep the certificate with you, photocopy, and when you are applying through Vidya Lakshmi portal, you submit that, and then this 4.50 lakhs should be less than that, and finally, and if you are eligible for that interest subsidy, and it should be Indian colleges approved, that is recognized or accredited colleges. Annual is 4.50 lakhs less than income. These three, if it is there, they can automatically, a person is eligible for interest subsidy. It is the every year, annually, the Canara Bank is the nodal bank. They will notify the due date for the filing of their claim. It is the bank has to file the claim, and the students need not file the claim. And they may have to ensure, for safety, they may have to ensure that whether the claim has been submitted. Once when the claim is submitted, it is processed by Canara Bank and then the MHRD. Now, earlier, before March 2018, annually they were giving, because there are so many other problems, or they're not fully reimbursed and other things. There are so many complaints are there, but still annually. Now they have made it a policy from 1/4/2018. At the end of your study period plus moratorium, they reimburse the entire amount. That is, if your person studies 4 years engineering, at the end of 4 year plus 1 year moratorium, at the end of 5th year, the government reimburses the interest subsidy to the students directly to the account of the student. Suppose if the by that time, and interest subsidy is not eligible if the student discontinues the education, and or if he is dismissed from the college for any other disobedience or anything, he is not eligible. So they may have, the students have to be very careful about that. And regarding that foreign, this is eligible only up to 7.5 lakhs. Only up to 7.5 lakhs, loan up to 7.5 lakhs. There, that too, where I have said that there should not have been a guarantee. It should be parents should have only signed it. Third party guarantee or collateral security should not have been given. So the students should be careful for availing that. For this is for domestic study. For foreign studies, there are two schemes are there, which I will just, there are Pado Parvesh is there, that is for minority, that is for interest is being reimbursed for foreign studies, for minority students only. Another is Ambedkar CSIS OBC EBC, that is in the name of, for OBC students and economically backward students. That is for the Pado Parvesh, annual ceiling is 6 lakhs if parental income is 6 lakhs. For Ambedkar CSIS OBC EBC, the parental income should be 8 lakhs. For EBC OBC students, it should be 8 lakhs annual. For EBC economically backward students, it should be 2.5 lakhs. And that is for foreign studies. That they can go. That is, the number of people are very limited, so I am not going in deep into that. They can go through our site and get the details.
Thank you, sir. And now I see a lot of questions that audience are asking. So my first
one
question.
minute, I forgot to mention one thing. What are the documents that are to be submitted through Vidya Lakshmi portal? The student should keep ready their income certificate, as I said, for interest subsidy income certificate is signed by Tahsildar. And if SC/ST students or OBC students, then they should also keep their certificate, caste community certificate. And then Aadhaar card is required. PAN card is a must. Then if you don't have a PAN card, get it applied and get a PAN card. And then admission card. Only after getting the admission into the approved institution only you can make an application. Then our address proof and other thing. Then automatically the Vidya Lakshmi portal will give you the guidance on that. Okay, carry on.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. And yes, my first question from the audience, it will be, what if the bank does not claim the subsidy within due dates?
This there are so many complaints are there. The banks, they for eligible, many cases have come to ELTF for many cases, and the students are eligible, but the banks have not claimed. In such cases, because of the fault of the bank, the students are deprived of interest subsidy. So it is a deficiency of service because it is a duty of the bank to file the claim to nodal bank, Canara Bank. If the bank has failed, the students have got a legal option. They can go to the district consumer court. It is a very cost effective. Every district has got a district consumer court is there. They can go to the district consumer court of that district. They can file a petition before the district consumer court against the branch manager, against the bank, even against the MD of the bank for deficiency of service, claiming damages and compensation for the deficiency of service. In many cases, the consumer courts have awarded penalty to the banks and asked them to reimburse the interest subsidy portion, because if the claim is not submitted within the due date, the government will not accept it. The portal gets, the Canara Bank opens the portal for 2 months and they notify to all the banks, and the banks are required to file their claim. Suppose if the banks have not claimed for a particular year, 2018-19, they can't file it later. Then it is the deficiency of service. Then they can go to the consumer court and claim damages. Many of the cases we have seen that the consumer courts are in favor of the students.
Thank you, sir. And okay, I see an interesting question where what about a house with siblings? How will the bank loan process differ? Is one question, sir.
Siblings are eligible for it. And suppose if a person, a person A gets a loan from a particular bank, he gets a 4 lakhs of rupees. Suppose his own sister wants to apply for another 4 lakhs, then it will be combined. 4 plus 4 is 8. The rules applicable for 8 lakhs will be applied there. You can't say that it is less than 4 lakhs, so I will not be giving you the guarantee. No, it is not possible. If it is a sibling, siblings are permitted, but the entire family, that will be, the entire limit will be combined together and treated as a single unit. Suppose if it is around 10 lakhs, whatever the norms applicable for 10 lakhs loan will be applicable. You may have to give a collateral security or third party guarantee, notwithstanding that the amount may be lesser, 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs. As far as the interest subsidy is concerned, even the siblings are allowed. And if the same family, 2 persons also can get an interest subsidy provided they are eligible. But only thing is, for the interest subsidy, only one course is allowed. That is, if a person is having a B, if he is studying BE, he can claim a BE. For BE, he can get an interest subsidy. And for ME, he cannot get an interest subsidy. But if it is an integrated course, suppose if he joins an integrated course, ME, then up to ME, the interest subsidy is available. So if there are 2 people are there in the family, they are studying engineering course, both of them are eligible for interest subsidy also.
Okay. So as you pointed out earlier, for a single course under 7.5 lakhs, you should not, have a third party collateral, whereas the combined amount is what plays a role here.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I have another interesting question here. So someone has asked, political parties talk about loan write-offs. Is it possible?
This is a common question asked by all the educational loan borrowers. Please be careful. Don't be misguided by all the political parties thing. And there is no, even some of the MPs have asked the questions also in the parliament, asking whether whether there is any proposal for the banks to write off, waive all the educational loans. The government has said clearly no, and it is also not possible, and it cannot be also. Then if it is waived off this year, what will happen for the next? So yeah, we have been telling right from the beginning, please don't get misguided by all this false propaganda. It cannot be waived off. It cannot be written off. So better you go by the rules of the bank and take a consultation from the bank or from the people like us, from the ELTF others, whatever the norms are required.
So I have a question here. So I have an audience, like the question goes, if I, okay, if I do well, if I have scholarships, so will loan and scholarship go hand in hand? So I think they're trying to ask it that way. So will I get scholarship benefits if I really do well
Yes,
in
there are certain
education?
scholarships are available. The scholarships will be deducted from the loan. Suppose, suppose a person gets a scholarship, the scholarship also will be taken into account. That will be reduced to the loan amount. In fact, I would rather suggest wherever possible. I am suggesting wherever possible, the students should explore the possibility of getting the scholarship. They should search and get whatever the possible scholarships, please avail it. Don't, though I am talking about the educational loan and other thing procedures, keep the educational loan as a last resort. Avail the scholarship. Scholarships are free and subject to your getting merit and other things. The loan is a burden. The moment when you come out of the studies, then you are required to repay the loan. Suppose if you don't repay, then you are getting into the legal problems, the civil ratings and other things. As far as possible, explore the possibility of availing the scholarship, then so that your loan burden gets reduced, so that you are not suffering at a later time.
Hope that was the question and it was answered. Now I have a question on how to deal with grievance. So I
Suppose
think,
there are before the repayment you have not asked me, then I will also, so next question you can ask me about the repayment. Now about the grievances, there may be a possibility that the banks may not be able to understand, they may be able to delay the process. Then first thing is you ask the branch manager to sort out your grievances. Sometimes, many times what happened, the students' attitude also, you should also be very careful. The bank also is a busy area. In that they are also dealing with hundreds of customers like you. The students immediately, they should not think that, that it is my right and other thing. Just like you have, there are 100 reasons for sanctioning of the loan. There may be 100 reasons for rejection also. Always attitude plays a greater role. It is an institution. The banks are an institution, not an individual. So the officials are only temporary there. 3 months, 3 years they will be there, 2 years they will be there, but the institution remains. Talk to them in a very diplomatic manner. Talk to them develop a good relationship with the bank, and convince them that you are a good borrower, good student. Automatically you will also get it. Suppose in spite of that you have some problem, you approach the regional manager or zonal manager, talk to them, and they will always be 90% of the problems get resolved at that level. Suppose still you are not able to get the grievances resolved, you can file a complaint before the Prime Minister's portal is there, pgportal.gov.in. pgportal.gov.in. It is the Prime Minister's office portal. Normally, within 30 to 40 days or 50 days, there is the solution is coming, whether right or wrong. That is whether you accept it or not, whether it is relevant for you, whether you accept it or not. That's a different thing. A decision is being taken. And if it is a grievances, you can also go to the court where there is interest subsidy is not claimed. You can go to the district consumer forum, or you can go to the high court, or you can go to the banking ombudsman also. There are so many avenues are there. But please handle the bank in a very careful manner, but don't try to fight with them. If you try to fight with them, their mood will be out, and they will also be, the ego problem will be there, and they will not be helpful to you. So be polite, be courteous with them. Then normally 90% of the problem gets resolved.
thank you,
About the
sir.
repayment, I think one question is left out somewhere, we are not discussed. The moment when after the completion of study, there is a 1 year moratorium is there. Then 1 year, after 1 year moratorium, the bank gives 15 years of repayment schedule, 1 5. 15 years of repayment schedule, whether it is a 1 lakh loan or a 20 lakh loan, it is a 15 years is allowed. The EMI is spread over. And another thing is, there is a telescopic repayment schedule also is allowed. A student gets only a small job, 10,000 rupees job, and suppose his EMI is 12,000 rupees. He can request the bank manager to reduce the EMI first year, 3,000 rupees you can pay, and the later you can improve upon that. That is very, very important, telescopic repayment. Suppose in addition to the 1 year moratorium period, the bank the IBS scheme provides for 3 times moratorium during the currency of the loan. That is for 15 years of currency of the loan. Say for an example, after third year or fourth year, there is a problem like COVID, then he loses the job, then he is on the bench. He can request the bank to give a moratorium of maximum of 6 months, it is allowed. So the repayment will be rescheduled. There will not be any overdue interest also. And many times students or bankers are not aware of this, then immediately that becomes, they treat it as NPA, they go to the court and all. So you can ask for that, say after 3 years. After 8th year, there is a similar problem. Again, you can avail another 6 months of moratorium, or say again after 13th year, still you can have another thing. During the currency of the loan, 3 times you can avail moratorium. And another important thing is that the students, when they come out of the colleges, they look for a very, very lucrative, high-end job only. They expect around 30,000, 40,000. Then they even the small jobs with the 10,000, 15,000 rupees, they leave them. Then finally they end up in a mess. And the bank dues gets started, and if the bank dues are not paid, then it becomes NPA, then they become under tension. Please accept any job whenever you come out. Please accept any job that comes up your hand. Learn them, then slowly you improve upon that. Don't keep postponing. Otherwise, what will happen if you are waiting for 1 year or 2 years, then another new batch will come and you will become skilled. So then your bank also will start giving you the pressure.
Thank you, sir. And I have a question a student has asked. Sir, can you let us know about education loan for education outside India? What are the requirements for 16 lakh loan? So I think you mentioned about the 7.5 lakh loan mark. So this particular person is asking about 16 lakh loan, like how
16
to
lakh,
proceed
up to 20 lakhs it is allowed. Even State Bank of India gives even up to 1 crore also. And some of the banks, they give that is upper limit is not there. And the interest subsidies also, the Pado Parvesh and Ambedkar CSIS, OBC, EBC, 2 types of interest subsidy is there. Pado Parvesh is for minority. And there even the interest subsidy also is available up to 20 lakhs loan only. So it is allowed, but be careful about the foreign study. You must go for some banks like State Bank of India, they engage agencies to study them. And many times what happens when they go abroad for a study and they end up in wrong colleges or wrong institutions, spend a lot of money, they may not be able to get the suitable employment after having put in some 25-30 lakhs investment. They may not be able to get that. I am not discouraging that. Please make a study. Don't be under peer pressure to avail a loan. And it is a very, very important that employability is more important. The bank also look for employability. Even that the students go for medical courses in foreign countries, Philippines and other courses. And those banks also may not be considering them for time being, because when they come inside the India after studying, they may not be able to practice it like our MBBS. There are certain problems are there. The banks will not be. Before you go for that, better you go and consult your bank manager whether the institution is the approved list of the bank itself, because the global rating also is a must. So 16 lakhs is not a problem for any bank. Even up to 1 crore, the State Bank of India is giving. Even 1 crore also is given. No problem. But when you avail the loan, better be careful about the institution and employability and what would be the revenue that you may get.
you, sir. I know we've gone past our time mark by 4 minutes, yet I would like to, because it's a very valuable information and this is the need of the hour because we have these sessions everywhere. So I would request for your conclusive remarks about the whole education loan process, sir. So what would be your inputs and message? Because you are into ELTF yourself. You started it 10 years back. So what will be your message for the youngsters?
There are my appeal to both the bankers as well as the youngsters. Public sector banks are doing a very good job. In fact, we must compliment them. There are a lot of hiccups are there, lot of procedural things are there, lot of delays, and so many complaints will be there. But still, public sector banks have taken it really a great upon unto themselves, a lot of responsibility onto themselves, and they have been doing it excellently well, notwithstanding all the complaints. But only thing is, it is not based on the institution. I cannot say this institution is better, that institution is better. I can say the public sector banks, it all depends on the concerned managers at the grassroots level. Only thing is, I would appeal to all the branch managers is, when the students come to you, please treat them as like your son or daughter. There is nothing else is needed, because they may not be, they may be coming from a background, uneducated family will be there, and nobody will be there to guide them. It is you, the God will be helping you if you guide them, if you make them as a lot of potentiality will be there in that boy or a girl. Better you explore, and better you give them all the helping hand, because the banks are giving a lot of schemes are there, flexible schemes are there. Give them the guidance, give them all the support within the frameworks of the rule. On the same time, on the student side, when you are approaching the bank, as I said earlier, please show your good attitude towards the bank. Don't when the moment when the bank delays or anything, don't shout at them. Don't exercise. It is my right and all. There is no right. The banking giving a loan is not your. Receiving a loan is not your right. Anybody can walk in and avail a loan is not anybody's fundamental right. And it is the bank should process it. And there are a lot of problems out there for the banks also. They are not only handling you, they are handling hundreds and thousands of other customers. Please understand them and go and discuss with them in a polite and very cordial manner. Convince them that you are one of the good customers, good students. Then after availing the loan, please don't be guided by the peers or by the political leaders who are all promising you right off. Go by the wise counsel of bankers, or by the people like us, the social people, who will give you the guidance and repay the well and show your loyalty towards the bank. The bank is a great institution. Any bank, public sector bank is they are all a great institution. You can build your career, build your thing, even after completing your education. There is a provision. You need not go for an employment. You can go have a startup. You can have a startup also. The bank will provide you the finance, and they will reschedule your repayment schedule also will be refixed along with the startup loan also. There are a lot of facilities are available. It is a golden goose, and please don't spoil it by your attitude, and make use of the opportunities available with all the public sector banks. And whenever there is a problem or anything difficulties, you please write to us. Educational Loan Task Force, eltf.in is the website. Lot of the available details are there. You send a mail to info@eltf.in. We will also respond in a couple of days. Please don't try to contact us over telephone. Send us only through mail. We will try to help you out, and we will try to guide you. But we don't get any loans. As a matter of fact, we only give a guidance. We don't help. We don't help you by getting you a loan. Wherever there is a chronic problem, we also take up the matter with the head office policy matters, with the parliament and others. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. I should say it was such an information-packed session. I am not sure if I can reproduce all the information because every single question had so much information and inputs that you shared. So I don't think I can summarize the entire thing as a single, few liners. However, I would just like to add the important websites, and also I would like to, highlight one more time that you mentioned. It is very important to choose institutions that are that are accredited by the respective educational councils. So that is when students will avail loan. Banks will also disperse loan in that particular cases. And yes, we discussed about right from application to the processing of the loan to the repayment. So I would like to share four key websites that was mentioned by Sri K. Srinivasan sir. So the first one is on how to apply for education loan. That will be through www.vidyalakshmi.co.in. So this portal is for applying for education loan. And the second portal that Sir shared was on how to register a complaint, which would be www.pgportal.gov.in. So this is to register complaints that you may encounter. And we saw other two important websites. So first one is the Indian Banks Association, IBA, which is www.iba.org.in. And we saw the next one, which is Education Loan Task Force, ELTF, which is www.eltf.in. And if you have any queries, if you need any guidance towards how to apply education loan, you can always write to info@eltf.in. Again, I would like to iterate that, as Sir mentioned, this particular email ID is just for guidance on how to apply education loan, or if you're stuck somewhere. And yes, ELTF does not disperse any education loan as a body. So thank you so much for such an wealth of information you shared, sir. And next Saturday, being August 15th, it is our Independence Day. So we're going to have two programs on this special day. So normally our Saturday talks is between 5 to 5:45, but as a small change, because we have two programs, our Saturday talk series would move to 4 to 4:45 p.m. next Saturday on 15th August. And we're going to have an interesting topic where we're going to talk about youngsters as change agents. And followed by that, we have a super power packed session at 6 p.m. So this program, we have two amazing personalities. The first one, we're going to have eminent scientist of ISRO, Padma Bhushan Shri A. Shivadanu Pillai, known as father of BrahMos missile project. And also we have Mr. S. Narendra, former media advisor to Prime Ministers of India. He served 4 Prime Ministers of our country, from Sri Narasimha Rao to Sri Vajpayee sir. So please don't miss this session. So until next week, this is your Sukriti signing off from Australia. Stay